Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. So many technical difficulties this morning. My computer is tired uh, and ready to end this year. Welcome to Music and Chat with Pro Manhattan. I think I'm going to be changing the title and the subject of this show a little bit. It'll still be with the theme of my music, and it'll still be chat, but we're going to cover more than just music. Initially, I had set out to do live concerts every day on this Wednesday show, but things got in my way. It wasn't anything to do with anyone else. It has to do with my voice and my health and things like that. And my the noise around me, my voice is having some issues. It usually does this time of year. Anyway, today we are looking ahead to 2021, and the wording is important there. Looking ahead. Looking ahead, I'd like to thank Dean at The Live Place. The Live Place hosts over 120 family-friendly live streamers, and it's on topics of lifestyle, travel, RV, cruising, theme parks, mental health, community, having fun, trivia, music and art and crafts, and just anything you can think of. Every day there are a number of family-friendly live streamers. And what family-friendly means is you can watch this without having to wear headphones or worry about your kids hearing something inappropriate or something inappropriate popping up on your screen, or commercials for things you don't want to watch. It's safe for all ages. Sometimes they push that and they make it a little PG, but you'll be warned up front. But anyway, I am proud to be one of the live streamers with The Live Place. I go live on Wednesdays and Sundays. Wednesdays at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, this time right here. And Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On Sundays, we do healing through art. We do craft projects, Dollar Tree DIYs, anything on a budget. My motto for this channel has always been anything with nothing. And after the last year, I think we've all figured out that we can do anything with nothing. If you're watching the replay, which I know a lot of people do watch the replay, because you're at work this time of day, or right now it's the holidays. People are not necessarily traveling, but they're busy. Okay, go get the laundry, Lisa. I understand. You must have, go get the laundry. You can fold the laundry while you listen. Sounds good. Good to see you. But if you're watching replay, please leave me a comment below. Team Replay is all you have to say. If you want to say more, I love reading your comments. I love getting your comments. I love responding to your comments. That's how we build community. If you can't be here in the live, that's fine. You have a better opportunity of chatting with me in the comments, because we're all, even though we're not as outside the house as much as we'd like to be, we are pretty busy as a community. The online working, online learning, and this is my job here. And we'll talk more about that when we get a little further into the broadcast. And if you pop into the chat, feel free to lurk and listen or say hi. Glad to see you. I have a notebook down here that I have written a bunch of stuff. I love these composition books. Let me show you my composition books. I buy them at the Dollar Tree or Walmart, 3 for $1. These are all from the last 5 or 6 years. I use them for songwriting. I use them for ideas. And the reason I like them is because the pages are not removable unless you actively cut them out. And this was a new notebook. This is my composition book for January of 2021. And I had a few pages that I had scribbled some stuff that wasn't important. So I cut that out. I'm going to cut it out a little neater. So if I'm looking down, that's why I'm looking down. I have notes down here. That's one thing I hope to change in 2021 is getting back to my habits of public speaking. For many years in my life, I was a public speaker in several different job functions. I've done a lot of PR, and I was the media face for some organizations. But the last bunch of years went through some things that changed me, and I forgot who I was. And so 2021 is getting back to the professional that I know I am. I don't make resolutions. I stopped making resolutions a long time ago. I make plans. It's hard doing lives, but for me, it's easier to do lives than it is to do videos, but we'll talk about that too in a minute. I don't make resolutions because it's too much pressure. I think people sit down and go, okay, new year, I'm gonna change the world, and I'm gonna do it all starting January 1st. And it's always frustrated me that people will attach so much pressure to a date on a calendar. There's not some magical thing that happens on January 1st of the new year. It's the same sun rises, the same moon sets. You probably live in the same house. You're breathing the same air you breathed yesterday. So why do we put so much pressure on ourselves? I've been reading a book that my counselor suggested for me, and we're going to get into some book reviews this year too. Books that I have read that helped me. This one is called The Now Habit, a strategic program for overcoming procrastination and enjoying guilt-free play by Neil Fiore. I picked this up on Amazon for about $10. You can get audiobook copies if you're a Kindle member. I think you can download it there. But we are going to be talking a lot about this book in the new year. As you can see, I'm only about halfway through it. But so far, it's a wonderful book. The first half of it has been a lot of case studies, a lot of proof of that his ideas work. Dealing the stories of different people and how their procrastination, things as simple as getting a report done at work or major life changes. And the main takeaway I have right now, and what's going to take me through the new year, is changing my thought process. Instead of saying, I have to do this, I must do this, I'm changing it to, I choose to do this. Because I tend to procrastinate for two reasons. One, I just don't want to do it. So I will find anything in the world to not do that thing. And when as hierarchy, the book is The Now Habit by Neil Fiore. And so I'm changing the way I think about things. Instead of, I have to take out the garbage, I say, I choose to take out the garbage. Why do I choose to take out the garbage? Well, because it piles up, it smells bad, we might get bugs, things like that. And, but choosing and saying, okay, well, I don't have to take it out right now. I choose to take it out at this time. But first, I feel like I need a little creativity, so I'm going to spend an hour on doing something fun that I want to do. Make some cards or take a shower, but instead of feeling the weight of all this responsibility on me that I have to do this, to be a good parent, I have to be that, I have to do this, and I have to do that, realizing I'm already a good parent. I don't have to do anything. I choose. I'm choosing to do this or I'm choosing to do that. The second takeaway, the second way I procrastinate is I'm a perfectionist. So I feel like if I can't do it perfect the first time, I'm going to procrastinate and put that project off and then wait till the last minute. That way, when it comes out imperfect, I can say, well, I didn't spend the time on this that I wanted to. My time was limited, so I did the best I could in that short amount of time, instead of starting it and embracing those imperfections and changing them and things like that. Anyway, we're going to be going through this in depth, probably starting in March, which leads me to my next goal. I'm making a lot of goals and plans for my business. Pro Manhattan Productions. Pro Manhattan Productions encompasses a bunch of different things. I love to do all the things. And but since I'm small, I'm keeping it all under the Pro Manhattan umbrella right now. We're going to keep on with the music channel, the music videos, music and chat every Wednesday. Some days we may be more in the mindset of how I produce my music, things that help me make my music, which that's where this fits in, and some other books, and mental health and things like that. The crafts on Sunday, we're going to keep on with the anything with nothing. Making home decor, making gifts. January, we're going to be spent making things for Valentine's Day and getting my shop ready for Valentine's Day. Speaking of shop, Pro Manhattan has an Etsy shop where I have some stationery sets right now. Eventually, I will have some ears, such as, and let me show you these. They're not quite finished. So, but these are my New Year's ears. If you can tell, they've got the, let me change the thing here. They've got the sequins that flip back and forth between white and gold, and then they have a little crown on them. And they have some sparkle jewels. I'm still kind of working on these. I'll finish them up probably before New Year's Eve. But I will be making some ears soon. I've got, let me show you what I'm using right now. And you can make ears along with me. These little pillows right now are at the Dollar Tree. They're about 8 inches by 8 inches square. Let me pull it back a little bit. This one, and they've got the sequins that change. There it is. The sequins that change colors. I love these. This is a blue and a purple. I've got one that's a kind of a rainbow one. I've got one that's pink, and it changes to, I think, like a magenta or something. Anyway, I love this one. This one is my favorite. On the back, they've got this polyester. It's like a fake velour. It's got a little bit of a pile to it. You can see there. It's just a little fuzzy, but it's very soft. And then inside, they've got stuffing that you can use to stuff the ears. So I make the front of the ears out of this, the back of the ears out of this, and then I use the stuffing inside and some other Dollar Tree stuff. We're going to be making more ears. On our craft days, we're going to be, excuse my hair, I just woke up. These ears I bought Gosh, I wish I could remember who I bought them from. I'll have to get that information. Cargo. I bought these ears. But that leads me to some more content that I'm going to be adding to the channel. I'm going to start doing videos, and I don't know if they'll be weekly, monthly, or whatever. But one set of videos, we're going to be talking about spirituality. And with my tarot cards, my oracle cards, and things like that. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not a religious person. I am ordained, oddly enough. But we'll be talking about spirituality and what I believe. And it's not to preach, it's not to convert, it's not to convince. It's just how I have managed to get through all of the things I have gotten through. I've lived a very non-traditional life. Joshua Thompson, lovely to see you. Hello and welcome in. I've lived a non-traditional life, and so I've had to develop some non-traditional belief systems to get me through. I am worried my son's computer is going to come over. I will be right back. Give me just a second. Over here we go. I have a number of oracle decks, different things. Like this is the Amy Brown Fairy Wisdom deck, and the artwork is just simply beautiful, and I want to share the artwork on some of the beautiful sets of cards, some of the crappy sets of cards, some of my standard sets that I really rely on because I like them. And hopefully that will spread into a intuitive life coach advice sort of stream. But that's going to be in a separate place. You know, right now it's going to be separate videos on my channel. What I'm hoping is to build up these and then divide into different channels, but that's going to be down the road. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then the other aspect I want to start adding is, and this is a tough one for me. As I've said many times, I have a 14-year-old son who has autism, and it's a severe autism. I don't like to use high functioning or low functioning. That's not a good determiner. My son is non-conversational. He has no sense of personal safety or social skills, really. Or maybe he has them, but he just can't be bothered to to pay attention to any of that. He's very much a free spirit, but he's a very loving young man. And it's time I started sharing him with the world. I used to post an awful lot about him on my social media and things like that. And I got a lot of judgment to the point that Child Protective Services was called, and I was reported for no reason, honestly. But because other people who had no idea who my son was or had no idea about autism thought they knew better than me as a parent. And this is something I need to overcome. I need to own my parenting because I have raised some wonderful, fantastic children who are very talented and very successful. And I need to quit being ashamed And so we're going to be talking about autism, but the hardest part about dealing with autism and sharing about autism is every person with autism is different. You can't say, okay, this is autism, because it's a collection of behaviors and symptoms, you know. My son can talk. My son reads voraciously. He can read anything written. But when it comes to conversation, he mostly says yes, sort of in the form that Groot says, I am Groot. And it's the context and the inflection, the way he says yes, the situation around it, his facial expressions, I mean, the whole thing. I can have an entire conversation with him and understand him when all he has said is yes. So it's going to be difficult for me, but I'm going to try and do that. I've never wanted my son to be exploited because of his autism. I never wanted to be, I hate to put it this way, I never wanted to be that mom. I'm not an autism crusader. I'm an autism advocate, and my son and his feelings and his safety and his health come first. But now that he is turning 15 in just a few days, actually, I think it's time. I think it's time to start sharing. And exactly, Karki, and for that reason, because I think you and I have an awful lot in common, but I never would have known it had I not brought up my son's autism. And I think you and I have bonded really close without saying much, because we get our kids and we get, take, for example, anything that's happened that goes in the media. An event happened. There wasn't a lot of cameras there. There wasn't a lot of public documentation of what happened with this event. And so everyone with an internet PhD, I like to call it, got on and said, oh, well, I say it went this way, this way, this way, because I saw this. And everyone has a degree in whatever that event happened because they're on the internet. And so I don't want it to be that way with my son's autism. And if I get negative comments, if I get critiques, I will delete them. It's one of the reasons why I use the name Pearl Manhattan. And it's one of the reasons why I'm a very private person in real life. And only very few actually know exactly where I live. And I'd like to keep it that way. I might get a P.O. box someday. But with all these added changes, I put a poll up on my Twitter. If you're not on my Twitter, find me. You can get, Michael and Bella's Travel Channel. You know, Michael and Bella's Travel Channel. Am I talking to Michael or am I talking to Bella? I want to say, this page, these people leave the nicest comments. Your comments really make my day. Every time, not to say that other people's comments don't, but when I see a comment from you guys, it really moves me. You're so positive and so kind and enthusiastic on my little channel. But getting back to the group, I put up a poll on my Twitter. In 2021, I do want to make some sort of a community group for my replay watchers, for my live watchers, for everyone who's interested in Pearl Manhattan stuff. I'm just trying to find the right platform where I can reach the right amount of people. The choices I had put up were a Facebook group, a Discord group, or a Slack group, or other platforms. And you're free to suggest other platforms that we could do this. It's not something I'm going to pop up tomorrow. I made the mistake when I first started this channel of I started a Patreon and I started this and I started that. And then I wondered, well, nobody's come. Well, I had not built up my community. And so how I'm going to build up this community, I have been downloading stuff like crazy. I've been reading some Gary V stuff. I've been looking at planners, at goal setting, at things like that. And also get back to this book. I'm not a sponsor, hashtag not a sponsor, but this book, The Now Habit by Dr. Neil Fiore. I'm about halfway through with it. We will do a big discussion of it in the month of March. See people as a person with autism, not an autistic person. And Karki, that is it. And I want to see people as a person with PTSD. I want to see people as a person with challenges. You know, we are all people with challenges. I will bring up that my son is autistic to give people a frame of reference of how to deal with him, because that term has become more common now. So if I say, oh, he has autism, instantly the people kind of, you know, right, you don't introduce your husband as he has, this is my diabetic husband, because that's none of his business, nobody's business but his. I don't introduce myself as the hypertensive heart attack waiting to happen, I don't go into the challenges first, and that's what I want to show is one of my son's caregivers has a son with autism, and a neurotypical son, and got a lot of flack from family members because the neurotypical son, who's technically an adult age person, likes Legos. And the family members were like, well, he's too old for Legos. No, not necessarily. And that the child with autism, who is the same age as my son, well, they're too old for this. They're too old to like that. Honey, my son watches Dora the Explorer and, a lot of shows that were originally built for toddlers and stuff. Heck, we still watch the Muppets, don't we? We still watch, who doesn't sit down and watch Mr. Rogers if you get the chance, So we need to see all people as, I showed her some of the people in the Disney community who have Lego pages, and they spend a lot of money on these Lego, and put them together and have these beautiful sets of Lego creations and things. And I said, if that's what your son wants to do, who's to say, who's to judge? So I want to gently show the world that my son is just as normal as anybody else. We just do things a little differently. That's the ears here. So we'll be adding videos about my spirituality and tarot, and trust me, I'm not going to preach about what you should believe. I just want to share what I believe, because as I said, I've lived a very non-traditional life. I'll be 55 next month, and I'm tired of feeling like I'm not an expert because I didn't have a perfect life. I'm an expert on living a very non-traditional life. And after this last year, I really believe I have things I can share. Back to resolutions, goal planning, things like that. This last year, KJ, how wonderful to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here, KJ. This last year has taught all of us an awful lot. And I've said this in several people's chat streams. I've said it here. You've learned how to simplify. You've learned what you can live without. You've learned what you require to have a good life, So let's take what we've learned in the last year and go forward. I am lucky that with my son, we've lived the quarantine life, air quotes. We've lived the quarantine life for, the past 10, 11 years. I've focused solely on raising my son. And so when we got this lockdown, it wasn't that difficult for us. We did not have to make many adaptations for our life. The positive side was I was already on the internet, but I couldn't find community. And this lockdown has helped me find community in other people who are also stuck at home and don't know what to do with themselves. Well, hey, I've been doing this. I'm an old pro at this. I got this. Let me help you. I was raised by my Depression-era grandparents most of the time of my childhood. I lived a very poverty-filled life. It was very non-traditional, and a lot of things that other people would have viewed as hardships and horrible, I grew up thinking that was perfectly normal, and it was everybody else who was messed up. So going forward, let's take what we've learned in the last year and put it to action. We can do anything with nothing. You're qualified now. You've been through the boot camp. So, moving next, I wanted to share with you for the next couple months the kind of theme. Lisa, yes. The only negative, yeah. At least you were accustomed. Exactly. Lisa, you guys know. Karki, I'm sure you understand. Michael, you have a granddaughter with autism, so you can understand. It's funny how 10 years ago, well, when my son was diagnosed, and he was 3 years old, so it was about 12 years ago. And I would say, yes, my son has autism. We've been diagnosed with autism. And people would be like, oh, what's his special, is he like Rain Man? What's his special gift? Can he compose music? And there was lots of misunderstandings. Whereas nowadays, we go to the grocery store and my son is standing in the checkout stimming, which is jumping up and down and waving his arms. It's self-stimulation. If you don't know what that is, it's said that people with autism sometimes have problems feeling where their body is in space. They have, it's kind of like vertigo, but not dizzy and rolling, but they have trouble feeling where they are in space. So they need to feel the pressure of jumping up and down, and they wave their arms and things like that to feel where their body is in space. My son is standing there stimming, and the cashier stops what she's doing, and she stops and looks him in the eyes and says, "Hello, you look very happy today," which made my son smile. Instead of looking at him we had gone to church once many, many years ago, and he started stimming in the pew, and about 7 people turned around and gave us dirty looks. We don't get that anymore because more and more people understand. Everybody knows somebody who has autism these days, whether it's a family member or a friend's child. And I think we've become much more understanding. What really made it real to me, my son spent 1 year at a charter school, and he made it was the first time in his life he had made friends. And there was one girl, I think she was 15. And I told her, I said, I'd like to thank you for always speaking to my son, even though he may not speak to you, and always being friendly to my son. And she goes, oh, it's no problem. My brother's got autism. I just treat him like I treat my brother. That warmed my heart. My son, thankfully, has never been bullied. He's never been outcast. When he comes into a room, kids flock to him. Oh gosh, yes. It's Joey's World. I have a brother who is 2 years younger than me, who eventually was diagnosed with autism and schizophrenia. He was 48 when he was diagnosed with those. All through the 70s and the 80s, they had no idea what was wrong with him. They said, oh, well, he's hyperactive, and they put him on Ritalin. They put him on different medications. They said he was emotionally handicapped. That was the buzzword for a while. But yeah, autism just wasn't a thing. I'm lucky, the circumstances I moved out here and the life I've had out here personally, I've questioned so many times. But then I look at my son. I live in one of the highest areas of autism diagnoses in the country. We have so many resources, and because we had a channel about how we live, about our autism. And I've always been one to say my autism is not your autism, because no two people with autism there's not a typical autism. We try to put it on but that doesn't work, because you might, and it has nothing to do with intellect. It has nothing to do with IQ. My son is very intelligent. Oh, he is so intelligent. But I'm blessed that he is growing up in such an environment where he doesn't get called names. He doesn't get bullied, So we're going to be doing some things on autism. Starting in January, January's videos are all going to be about cleaning and organizing yourself. From wanted to be an organized person. And through this right here, I am learning that I can be organized in my own way. I don't have to be organized like I see online. I don't have to be organized like that person is organized. Yes, I have spent, because he started this school in the quarantine and remote learning. As with a lot of children, neurotypical or autistic, remote learning doesn't always fit the bill. And so I have spent hours and hours communicating with his teachers. And one of the first things his teacher said to me was, all right, we're not worried about academics anymore. What is the one thing you want for your son? I said, I want independence. When he turns 18, I hope to move him into his own least restrictive environment, be that a group home or, I'm not going to send him into a hospital or a retirement home, anything like that. I want him in a group home with similar individuals, but I want him to be an adult. And they said, okay, here is how we're going to structure his learning for the next 6 years, because he gets to stay in school until he's 21. And they talk about life skills. They're talking about occupational skills. Let's teach him some skills he can do that will be a paying job for him. Let's teach him these life skills. We don't care that he can add or subtract or do long division or calculus or any of that stuff. He uses a calculator like you wouldn't believe. And they said, does he like to type? I said, he can type about 40 words a minute when he wants to. It's a non-traditional hand style. It's not the old-fashioned like we learned in typing. But he can type about 40 words a minute. They said, okay, we're not going to ask him to do any handwriting anymore. We're not going to work on that. We're going to let him type on the computer. And so we're moving more to functional learning, teaching him how to, he likes to shop. So now we're going to teach him about budgeting, but we're going to find a way to teach him that he will pay attention to. Empathy. Oh, yeah. And Karki says, as a teacher, I'm really happy to see some improvement in peer-to-peer programs. The focus has shifted from helping special ed kid to making friends with others. When he spent that year at the charter school, they did not have a special education class. He had spent 9 years in a self-contained autism classroom, and I had a lot of problems with that, but it took me 9 years to finally get him out of it. But at this charter school, he was in the gen ed classroom with all the other students, and they were on similar. They were on the easier lesson plans. We'll put it that way. The more basic lesson plans. But he had a one-on-one paraeducator who was actually a special education master student. And she sat next to him. She carried a bag around, had his iPad for communication, taught him how to use that. She would help him facilitate the lessons and kind of translate between the teacher to him. But when it came down to it, he was one of the gen ed students. He felt like it. He bloomed so much in that 1 year just from being treated like he didn't have a disability, just from being treated like a normal kid. There was one day where he was working on some math, and he had so much, he was having trouble. His frustration level was growing, but he refused to give up because he knew he could finish it. And they kept asking him, do you want a break? And he was like, no, finish. I want to do this, And all the other kids got their dry erase markers, and they all gathered around his desk, and they wrote positive messages on his desk and stood there and cheered him on quietly because he'd already told them they were too loud, which was a big step for us. But they wrote positive messages on his desk and stood around and supported him while he finished this math problem. And then when he did finish it, they cheered. And that was such a beautiful moment for him. And he loves going to school because the kids don't treat him different. And like I said, though, I'm blessed. Tim Pruitt, good afternoon to my East Coast brother. So good to see you here. But he has no behavioral issues. He is the sweetest kid in the world. He doesn't have any violence issues because he's never been exposed to it. Lizzie Brewer. Oh my gosh, Miss Lizzie, how are you? So good to see you. I've been seeing you going by, but honey, I've been so busy trying to get my channel going and everything else. I see you're doing some quilting with Lizzie. I'm going to pull out my machine and start doing some. I was going to do, Mary Mayhem does a New Year's Day mystery quilt. I was going to do that, but in this age, all the good cotton fabric that's inexpensive, everybody's bought it all to make masks. So, yeah, I'm not going to be doing that, but I will be adding some sewing and quilting later in the year on my Sunday show. Gosh, I hate this. Everybody's getting here and it's almost time for me to go. That's all right. You can catch the replay. I love my replay viewers. If you're watching the replay, leave me a comment down below. Replay Squad, I love comments. I love responding to my comments. All right, in February, this show on Wednesdays will be taken up with me talking about February album writing month. Your car key, it's right there. February album writing month is something I have done for the past 7 years. Yeah, 7 years. I started in 2015. 6 years, 7 years. 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 7 years. And what February album writing month is, 14 songs in 28 days. A song is defined as whatever you define it as. It can be an instrumental piece. It can be lyrics. It can be spoken word. It can be IEP issues. I missed that. We're going to talk about IEPs in my autism thing too. I've been blessed because I've walked in the room. I educated myself very early. I have a degree in educational psychology and a lot of special ed background. So when we started with IEPs with my son, I walked in the room and said, okay, I know what IEPs are. I know how we do them. Be my team and let's do this together. And so I've been lucky that my IEP teams have always made me a part of the team. And I wasn't afraid to stand up and say, you know, I don't want this. I want that. And we've always worked together. So we're going to talk about IEPs too. Everybody say hi to Miss Lizzie. She's a crafter I have known for a lot of years. Anyway, February album writing month. I will be writing at least 14 songs. In the past, I've done 100 songs in the month. I can be a very prolific songwriter when I want to be. And this album that I'll be working on, the theme for my FOM, the album's called 55, because I turned 55 in less than a month. Woohoo! 55! Yeah, we'll have a birthday party online for me. And the preparation, the crafts and everything else will be preparing for St. Patrick's Day and starting on some Easter prep. January, I forgot to add, in January, we're working on Valentine's Day and Mardi Gras. I was born and raised in the South. Mardi Gras is a holiday all its own. If you want to attach religious, Mardi Gras and Lent, I observe those spiritually, not necessarily religion based, but more spiritual based. March is spring prep, Easter, finishing up for Easter, and we'll be working on the Now Habit in March. So go ahead and get this book now. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it used. You can find it on Kindle. You can find it all sorts of places. The Now Habit by Neil Fiore. In March, we will be doing an in-depth of this book because it's changing my life. Let's see. April, we'll be getting ready for Mother's Day with our crafts. My mother is since gone, so I celebrate myself for Mother's Day. And as we get older, our parents move on. And I think this year I will be sharing for those of us who have had to be our own mothers, for those of us who don't have our mothers anymore. Mardi Gras, yeah, KJ, you're a Saints fan too, aren't you? I grew up in the French Quarter for a little while, so I have an in-depth knowledge of Mardi Gras. And thank you so much, Miss Lizzie, and I hope you'll come back again. Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific is when I do my Healing Through Arts and Crafts show. We do everything on a budget. May we'll work on Father's Day, and so the group online, adding the videos. Also, I'm going to be upping my social media game this year. I have been, let's see. I have been downloading stuff, free stuff. This is from Shining Mom online. It's a planner. These are the different pages. It's printable and it was free. I'm going to be making a planner. This is goal setting, visions. It's got a budget planner, all sorts of things. Some other things that I've downloaded. I downloaded some stuff from Gary V, who has some wonderful stuff about building your channel, building your social media, building yourself. So I've got planners and everything else, but this year I'm going to teach you, I'm hoping to show you, I'm not even on the screen there. Hold on. There we go. This year I'm hoping to show you that you can be organized however is right for you. And everything I'm going to share with you, I have learned from raising my wonderful son, that maybe it's not the orthodox way, but if it works for you and you're not hurting anybody else. Now, I have to go and take the garbage out. It's something I've been procrastinating against, but I will feel so much better if I do it. My advice to you is this week, for the new year, pick one thing you've been procrastinating on. A task that will take you no more than 10 minutes to do. And find 10 minutes and just do it. You'll feel better. Whether it's cleaning off a shelf, organizing a cabinet, writing a quick letter. If you need note cards and supplies, my Etsy shop, links down in below, or I'm sure it just came across there. But find one little 10-minute task that you've been procrastinating on and do it. New Year's Eve, I've always spent it as a time of personal self-reflection. I used to spend it organizing photo albums. This year I'm going to be building my planner and thinking about the goals I want to set. I'm not going to rush into setting goals. Don't do this. You know, I'm in 2021, I'm going to be this and that. It's okay to want those things, but don't set them in stone that I'm going to diet. I'm going to this. How about you just take each day at a time and enjoy the journey? Because it's not about the destination. We all know what the destination is. Let's not run to it, okay? Enjoy the journey. And look back on 2020, on the journey through 2020, and find the things you enjoyed about the journey, the places you grew, the things that you learned. Yeah, it was a tough year. It was a tough year for everybody, but every year is a tough year if you think about it. 2021 isn't going to be the magic wand that bing and everything's better. 2021 is going to be just as hard, if not harder, than 2020 was. So let's brighten every corner we can. Let's find the joy in the journey. And I will see you guys on Sunday. Peace and blessings upon you, upon all you love, and upon all who love you. Find your passion. Grab a hold of it. Do not let it go. Life is about the journey, not the destination. Make somebody smile and find a 10-minute project you've been procrastinating on and just sit down and do it. 10 minutes, that's all I ask. And next week, next Wednesday, let's talk about those. Let's talk about what we did. I want to hear your successes. This is the last time I will see you in 2020. I love each and every one of you. It was so nice to see you here today. Thank you. And I will see you Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And we'll be making a planner. Have a great day, y'all. Bye.